Good evening. Only Movie the podcast. We're reviewing Gladiator II, 2024 movie. This is a sequel to the original Gladiator. Ridley Scott was out, produced this underneath Scott Free, and there's a little argument about how much this thing costs to make, but at best guesstimates, or if we're going to believe Paramount who put it out, they have it for not exceeding 250 million. But it got greenlit for a budget of 165 million, so they definitely went over. And some estimates have it as high as 310 million. So even if we take your 250 million, you had your Wicked that only cost 150 million to make, and it beat it at the box office, both opening up on November 22nd. So if
Wow.
they're considering this is the new Barbenheimer, right now Wicked is ahead. Some other people feel that this is going to be a longer staying movie. I don't know. In my opinion, I've seen obviously both of them. We've reviewed both already, and I'm definitely thinking, Wicked is going to have a lot more residuals coming in as we go.
Okay.
But for right now, you can't consider it a flop because it's only been out there a few weeks. It's already made 320. So even if you're at the highest part of 310, at least you've recouped your money.
Yeah.
I'm sure that 320 is going to double within the next few months. So, Therese, well,
Hey, I go
we kind
first.
of already reviewed it, so I guess it would make more sense. We'll have the Y Man do it first again, and then we can try and
Yeah, I
add
want to
to
hear
it.
what he thinks about
That's
it.
fine with
Yeah.
me. That's fine with me. So I'm gonna start this review right off the bat saying that I did not like it as much as the first one.
Mm.
And um funny funny thing about this is what that I'm saying I didn't like it as much as the first one is Maria wanted to see it. The first one to see where I was coming from because she hasn't seen the first one, and then we rewatched it together, and now I understand more why I like the first one more than the second one. Maria would put it as the first one has more meat and potatoes than this one had. This one kind of was good. Don't get me wrong. This Gladiator 2 being the sequel after like decades of the first one coming out, it was good, but there was something missing there, and I saw it as soon as I rewatched the first one, where there was more substance in the first one versus this one. Um, you know, honestly, Russell Crowe did an excellent job. Joaquin Phoenix did an excellent job as the quote unquote villain, I suppose. And everyone in that cast, I thought they played their part well. You know, as for Gladiator 2, the script was fine. You know, um, I forget that guy's name. Denzel Washington. I thought he did okay. He was one of my favorite characters, but I never pictured him as the antagonist. You know, I don't know. I kind of got lost towards the end of this movie. I'm not trying to spoil it, but when it came to Denzel Washington, he definitely lost me towards the end. He kind of did well in the beginning and the middle, but then towards the end, it was, I don't know. I just didn't see it. It wasn't too believable to me, being the antagonist that he was. And Lucius in the first one, we all know he was a prince, and then he becomes a man, a family guy, and everything, a warrior, and he becomes like his father, um, a gladiator, and that was believable. But again, there wasn't anything for me to root for, except for the fact that his wife died. But that was more like his his wife died while they were in battle, so people die. You know what I mean? And I get it. You want revenge and everything, but I don't know. I just didn't. It didn't. I didn't follow it as much as Russell Crowe got his need for revenge, because that was all Commodus is doing in the first one, where he needed to get rid of the wife and the child because he knew he was also aiming for Maximus. And so I don't know. I just it in comparison, like I said, I didn't like it as much as the first one, but it was still a pretty good movie. I don't know. I didn't it didn't give me that wow factor like the first one did. So I give it like a 7. Yeah.
All right. Who's next?
Sweet. Anything changed from when our last review? Like,
Um, there's more stuff that I didn't say in the first review. I gotta say I understand where Yandri is coming from. There's more of like soul in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the whole like the way he dies in the end, and
Right.
like it's there's more soul in the first one.
Right.
But this one,
Mm-hmm.
nonetheless, this one from beginning to end, it kept my attention.
Mm-hmm.
I think the set was actually awesome. I loved the
Mm-hmm.
ships. I thought the ships were incredible. Like the opening scene is like wow. Like the opening scene alone, I'm in it. I'm in this movie. It
Right.
got my attention. I loved that. I loved the ships. I loved the set. I loved everything visually about this movie. Um, if you want to compare, what do they call them? Emperors, right?
Right. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So Joaquin Phoenix, he was creepy, he was evil, and these guys, there's two of them, equally creepy, equally evil, even a little more sadistic than Joaquin Phoenix. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And I
Mm-hmm.
love the way they played that. I love the way Denzel Washington's character, I can't think of his name right now, but I love the way his character kind of manipulated everything
Mm-hmm.
into his favor, the way you didn't really see it coming together the way it did, but it did. And he like, you know what I'm saying? I love the way that was written. um Again, I like that you don't have to watch the first one to watch this one, because they do tie in the two stories. They do explain the
Right.
connection between the two, which I totally forgot about what happened. Maybe I should have watched the first one before I watched this one again.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot all about like how it ended with like Lucius and all of that in the first one.
Right.
um but yeah, I loved visually, I loved this movie. I kept my attention. It was nonstop action, which I appreciate. There's no parts that I felt like falling asleep to. The way they use the arena, when they use the arena with the water and the boats, that was
Mm-hmm.
cool. I love
Mm-hmm.
I just I loved it. And I think I understand it's a sequel, but I think Dave mentioned this in the review that we did together. It's a sequel, but they're two different movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to compare them is a little, I don't want to say that it's unfair, but they're each in their own class. Like the first one, it had that passion, but it's almost like it's a different movie. It's a sequel, but not a sequel, if that makes any sense. I don't know how to explain that. It's
Mm-hmm.
they I think they're equally as good in their own ways. They each have their good points, where the second one has all of this action and the set is better than the first one. You know what I mean? Like it's an upgrade as far as visually in the second one than it was in the first one. But the storyline, I get what you're saying about the passion in the storyline of the first one. So it's like there's pros and cons between the two, and I think equally they're both great movies. And I wouldn't say one is better than the other, because there's
Right.
awesome parts in the second one and there's awesome parts in the first one. They
Right.
hold their own
Right.
individually. That's how I feel. I give
Mm-hmm.
this movie an 8.5. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's totally worth watching. It's beautiful to watch, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you don't mind blood, of course. But
Right. Right. Of
yeah,
course.
that's it.
Right.
That's
Of
all I gotta
course. Oh
say.
yeah. Who doesn't mind that?
yeah. No, I came in with an 8 on this one too. And obviously, I said before, I do count them as two different movies. And how I kind of explained it, Gladiator is a gladiator movie with some political stuff in the background. Gladiator 2 is a political drama with some gladiator stuff in the background.
Mm,
So, they flipped it that way. So each of the storylines are very different, much along the lines for you science fiction fans. Alien is a pure sci-fi horror movie,
Mm-hmm.
while the sequel Aliens is that action sci-fi movie that we're all into. They're the same movies. It is a direct sequel, but the genre should almost be split a little and different. Same thing with I feel with this movie. I do gotta say there's enough people that have seen this that there's only one person still I heard said that they did say like the second one better than the first.
Mm.
I hold them both equally high because I don't see them as I can't really compare them to one another
Okay.
so much. Even though
Mm.
they are a direct sequel,
Weird.
you jumped into like this different subgenre, I would say.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
yeah, I mean, like, I get both of your points. I understand. It was definitely uh nicer to look at, and I mean, these are the things that I like too. I mean, look at Avatar, and then decades later they have Avatar or The Way of the Water, right?
I still haven't
And,
seen that one.
huh?
I still
Oh,
haven't seen the second
oh,
one.
you should definitely watch it. It's one of the, at least for me, it's one of the rare cases where even though it was decades later, the second one was just much like or more beautiful to look at, you know.
Really?
And we all know that Avatar was amazing, you know, for its time. It was the CGI was on point. I thought it was really great, and now it's much better. I mean, definitely better for sure. I don't know about much better, but it's definitely better. And I loved it. I really did enjoy it. You could also call it a movie on its own, you know, a separate movie than the first Avatar, because this one is more like you see just the life of you know, the guy who lost his, or who was paralyzed, and then he just became one of those creatures or aliens or whatever, and now he has a family and blah blah blah, and so, you know, yada yada yada. So it's a separate movie for sure, but it's also a sequel, you know. And I loved it. I enjoyed it. I guess for me, when it came to Gladiator, again, I rewatching it. So when we were talking about Wicked in the last review, I remember Therese said something about that the set is real, right? In Gladiator, the first one, like the tigers were real, the set were real, everything were, it was just more authentic. And it's not to say that CGI brings the movie down. You just, as long as you do it right, I think it brings it up. But again, it's not the end of all for me. You know, it's, I need more than just eye candy, I'm gonna call it, you know. I
Yeah.
need I need I need I need I need it to make sense. I needed to just be, you know, just to bring it together, like, you know, with the acting, the story, the script, you know. And that's what Gladiator 1 did for me. This one was more like, okay, we already know what's going on. We all know he's Maximus' son. Let's just see him fight. And it was great. Don't get me wrong. It was cool to see him bite monkeys and fight on water, which I heard apparently, according to my brother, because he went to Rome actually, and he found out that they actually do that, or they used to do it, where they had water. I don't know about the sharks. The sharks were a little too much for me, but whatever. Um, but but they did apparently have I don't know if they were that big, but the ships going through the water in that arena, apparently, according to my brother. Um, and you know, I think that's impressive. I think that's really great that they used to do that back in the day. It made it more interesting, I'm sure, to watch, especially for those who are in the arena watching and just rooting for whatever, the gladiator or the other warriors or whatever. And you know, they portrayed a lot of things, I thought, in a really nice way, but the story just, it wasn't flying for me. At least, like when I saw Denzel do his thing at the end, he reminded me of Equalizer. I was like, bro, what in the world? I get it. You were a gladiator before, but you're killing like you're some kind of sniper or you know what I mean? Like you're Equalizer.
But he's
Like,
Denzel.
huh?
He's
Yeah, no,
Denzel. That's what he does.
no, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's fine. But you know, you could just, I don't know, take care of people a different way, not like in a, not the way he did it. But whatever, that's fine. Um, and then, you know, there were just a few other things that I thought was out of place, if you ask me. But the overall movie, it wasn't bad. It's just like I said, I just wanted more substance. That's all. Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I didn't know right away that he was Maximus's son. Like I didn't know that right out the gate. Like I
Oh,
had to
okay.
watch the movie to figure
Mm-hmm.
that out. I didn't know that right away. And I could be wrong, correct me if I am, but
Mm-hmm.
I think they used the actual Colosseum like they did in the first one. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they actually filled it with water. I mean they definitely didn't put sharks in there, but
Right, right, right. Of course.
I think they used the actual Coliseum. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that was
Oh, I
yeah.
don't know. Maybe we could fact check it or whatever, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Not the act, maybe not the actual Coliseum. I'm sure they made their own Coliseum. I don't know if they allow
Yeah.
that, but I'm sure they because these are things that I'm sure movies do all the time. A long time ago, I saw Matrix, the Reload. The I think it's called Matrix Reload or Reloaded. And
Hmm.
then the I saw right after that the making of it, and apparently that highway they made that highway. It
Mm.
wasn't an actual highway. They actually made it so that they can. It was like they made it 2 miles long or whatever. So what they ended up doing is that they had that highway, and then of course they would rerun the cars over and over again when it would end after 2 miles, and it just made it seem like it was an actual highway. But that cost was millions of dollars. So I wouldn't be surprised if the set itself was an actual lifelike arena. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you think about it, Wicked, they created their sets, right? And
Right, right,
again, correct me if I'm wrong, Gladiator 2 had a bigger budget than
right,
Wicked,
right. I think
right?
yeah, yeah.
Wicked was 250 million and they were 350. Am I wrong? That's
Wicked
what I
was
thought I heard.
150. Wicked was
Wicked was
150.
150?
Yeah, and then they're arguing over whether this was 210 or 310. Paramount
Okay.
saying it only costs 250.
Mm,
So they had to have built something, right? Like, where
right.
did the money go?
I
Did it all
Yeah.
go into Denzel's pocket? You know what I'm
It should.
saying?
I mean, this was the biggest opening for any Denzel movie. So this broke his records, his personal record.
Mm.
So,
Wow, look at that.
yeah.
Look at that. Good for him. Good for him. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't really I believe it. I don't doubt that it cost a lot of money. It was impressive to watch. It was. Just overall, you got to give me more than just that. That's all. But
Right, I
that's
hear
yeah,
you.
yeah. But like I said, I gave it a pretty decent grade, I thought.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with you.
Yeah, yeah.
You're allowed to feel however you want to feel about
You
it.
know what I'm saying? Right
No, feel this way.
there.
Think like us.
You must agree.
You
All right.
must.
Say a higher grade.
No, I get it. I get what you're saying about the comparison between the two.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I just I enjoyed it. I enjoyed
yeah.
watching it.
It was enjoyable for sure. I agree.
And remembering it after watching the movie we watched last night is definitely way better. That movie last night
Oh,
was
yeah, that
terrible.
was a rough watch. Speaking of last night's movie, I went and looked up today. Christianity is the number one religion worldwide right now.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
let's close this out.
Uh,
Yeah.
have a
Oh
good
look,
night.
it turns into oh yeah, there it goes. Sorry.
Yeah, we saw it. You
My
blue
face
screened
turned
your
into
entire
his face.
self. Very nice.
All right. All
I
right.
got
So
it.
that's
All right,
Gladiator
guys, leave some
2.
comments, subscribe, enjoy. See you next time.
Yeah. Later.
Bye.
Later. All right.
Yeah.
That was
All
Yeah,
right.
we were talking
that
about at work today about religion, so I had to look it up.